It's the matchup presented by Draftkings. I'm your host, Travis Fulton. Thank you for making us part of your day. Another week and another PGA Tour event, but you know what? There's all kinds of sports starting back up. Look at here, baseball's back. Got my Mariners hat on. We've got basketball starting this week, football right around the corner, and Draftkings has got you covered. Get into the action. In fact, if you don't have an account and you want to try it out in golf, use my promo code Travis. Set up a new Draftkings account. Use promo code Travis and you get into the big game this week. It is Tpc South Wind, WGC-FedEx St. Jude Invitational. The big game, 1.75 total purse, $500,000 goes to the winner. You get a free entry into the game if you use my promo code Travis in setting up a new account. Another week, another TPC. Love the TPCs. Got to play most all of them with my days as the director of instruction for the PGA Tour Academies. And, like last week, another fun course. TPC Twin Cities, I think it's a fun, interesting, intriguing golf course. And then you come to TPC South Wind, and it's another one of those, right? This time, though, we go par 70, about 7,250 yards, somewhere in there, 7,250 yards, probably going to play somewhere in there. But a lot of par fours, only two par fives, par 70. So we're going to see a lot of par fours in between that 400 and 500 yard range, which means we're going to see some approach shots, a lot of them between that 150 to 200 plus range. So probably less wedges into the green, generally speaking, a little longer iron approach overall for the most part. So the par 70, kind of an intriguing setup this week. TPC South Wind, it's going to be in Memphis. It's going to be hot. Guys are going to be sweating. They're going to be drinking a lot of fluid. So who's going to handle those conditions every year as we see it down there at Southwind? Now, this particular course, when you look at it historically, now it's a WGC, the second year that it's been a World Golf Championship. Of course, FedEx has been so huge. St. Jude, they're in that area. The FedEx Cup playoffs are coming up very soon. PGA Championships next week. Then we go Wyndham, and then we start to rally with the last three in the FedEx. So this is a special week because FedEx, St. Jude, they do so much for the game of golf and, of course, on the PGA Tour and giving back. What's important on this course? Well, ball striking, right? We need that approach game once again. And I would even elevate it here even a little more so on this golf course. We know distance is important on every course, right? You get a little more distance and you can hit it straight. Well, you have an advantage. I think that distance probably played out a little bit more last week overall, just from my analysis. This week, important, but I would kind of separate it a little bit from approach even a little bit more. I'd move approach up. I'd also move putting more up, strokes gained putting, particularly on Bermuda. I talk about it all the time. These guys are using different surfaces, putting on different surfaces all the time. It was bent last week. It's Bermuda this week. And there's a difference. When you look at them statistically, guys putt certain surfaces better than others. They grow up on bent. They grow up on Bermuda. They grow up on putt, whatever the case may be. So I need to move approach up. I need to move putting up, not quite as high as approach, but right there. Probably closer than it's been in weeks past. Of course, distance probably coming in at a third, little separation there from putting, and then all the way down at the bottom. And I would even move this down even a little bit more from weeks past. Strokes gain around the green just doesn't really weigh out statistically on this golf course. Now, you can't be a dog around the greens. You got to have some skills. But strokes gain approach, you can lose around the greens and still win. That's what Brooks Koepka did last year. He's the defending champ this week and next week at TPC Harding Park, but Brooks lost 2.3 in strokes gained around the green last year when he won. Webb finished second and lost a stroke around the green. So give me some approach. I need ball striking. I need opportunities here on all of these par fours. Only two par fives, four par threes, and the rest are par fours. So you better be strong in the approach game, and you better know how to putt Bermuda greens. I've moved them up. I can't wait to share it with you. So let's get to it with our first matchup. Match number one, Webb Simpson versus Colin Moore. So much to choose from on the top end, right? You can make a case for any of these guys on the top end. They're the best players in the world. John Rahn, the world number one player. Rory McIlroy, the world number two player. No question, 1 and 2. Are they going to be there Yeah, chances are they're going to be there. But let me get you thinking beyond that a little bit. Webb Simpson, he just oftentimes just kind of slides down. Oh yeah, Webb, he's the 5th ranked player in the world, coming in at 9,900. And he's probably going to slip even here a little bit off the radar because he missed the cut at Memorial. Uncharacteristic, didn't hit the ball that good. Actually lost 5.3 to the field in approach. I mean, you would have to go way back in his career. He lost 4.7 clear back in 2019 in February. I'm not sure he's ever lost that many strokes. It was one of those weeks you just chalk it up. Now, before that, 8th at the Rocket Mortgage. Of course, he was 1st at RBC Heritage. Great ball striking and great putting at the Heritage. Missed a cut at the Schwab. 61st at Mexico, and then of course he won the Waste Management Phoenix Open over my boy Tony Finau, who couldn't get it done last week again, as I predicted right here on the show, but that's for another time. Webb, I need a good approach game, as I said in the intro, and I need good putting. He's got them both. Strokes gained approach, he's 11th. Strokes gained putting, he's 17th. He loves him some Bermuda too. You look at him statistically, best surface for his putter is Bermuda. He was 2nd here last year at this tournament. Played beautifully. 5.1 positive in approach, 6.8 positive in putting. I love me some Webb Simpson. Now he's going against the kid, right? The new young sexy star. I love Colin Moore. I hope you got to watch the podcast with his coach, Rick Sessinghouse. Go listen to that podcast, Stripe Show podcast. It is a refreshing podcast. This is a great team. Colin Morikawa now with 2 wins. And of course, he's a ball striking machine. He's 23rd off the tee. And you know who is number 1 in strokes gained approach on the PGA Tour? It's Colin Morikawa. Now, it's interesting. He's been able to kind of buffer some of his shortcomings in short game. Around the green doesn't bother me too much here. As I mentioned, he's 112th on tour. 172nd, though, in putting. He needs to assure that up a little bit more. And when he does, he is going to be an absolute world beater. Bermuda, not his best surface, though. He does not putt well on Bermuda. This is the first time he's been to Tpc South Wind. I know he is top of mind for so many as the next up-and-comer player. I love the guy. But I want to see a little bit more on the putting side, and particularly on Bermuda. So in this matchup, it's easy for me. Give me Webb Simpson with caddy Poulter. Number 2, Matthew Fitzpatrick versus Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed coming in at 8,800. How about that? 8th ranked player in the world coming in at 8,800. A lot of guys from a salary cap perspective, a lot more money into those guys. You can get Patrick at 8,800. Who won the last World Golf Championship when all the best players got together down in Mexico? It was Captain America, Patrick Reed. Now, let's go inside the field here. That's what I love about Fantasy National. We can just take the players that are just in the field, bunch them together, and then give a strokes gain just for those who are in the field, not the entire PGA Tour. Right now, last 50 rounds, strokes gain putting, Patrick in this field is 2nd. Okay, he's 2nd. He's 45th in approach, about in the middle. 6th in total. Strokes gain total, best player in the world, last 50 rounds, Captain America is 6th, and he's 10th around the greens. He's played well here in the past. He was 12th at this event last year. And you look at it, and you kind of look at those stats more specifically last year. He hit the ball well. Strokes gain approach, he was actually positive 2.2, but he lost strokes in putting. He doesn't lose strokes putting very often, and he lost 2.2 here last year and still finished 12th. It was kind of a little bit of a run there of a few weeks where he wasn't putting well. He's coming into this week playing Memorial a couple weeks ago where he finished 10th, and he was positive 5.1 in putting. Patrick Reed at 8,800 is a good play in my eyes. Now he's going against Matthew Fitzpatrick. This is a good young player. He's 20th in the world golf rankings. He was 4th here last year, and he's at 9,000 value. Fitzpatrick, $9,200 more than Patrick Reed. It just seems like Patrick gets slighted time and time again. 4th last year at this event, played very well. Since then, 9th at API, 32nd at the Schwab, 14th at RBC, missed the cut at the Travelers, 23rd at the Workday, and 3rd at Memorial. Matthew Fitzpatrick is playing some good golf. You look at the stats overall, 67th in approach, 6th in putting. You go in the field, just the guys in the field, last 50 rounds, strokes gained putting, he's 17th, and approach, he's 25th. I like Fitzpatrick too. Both these guys are going to find a spot in my lineup. But from a head-to-head standpoint, I'm taking the experience. I'm going with Patrick Reed to elevate the approach game and let the putter go to work. Match number 3, Henrik Stenson versus Mark Leishman. You know, you think about, you need a good strokes gain approach, right? That goes way up. Iron play and then some putting, kind of in that order, right? Distance doesn't trump it. You think of Mark Leishman, right? He's one of the best ball strikers in the game. Strokes gain approach on the PGA Tour, he's currently 4th. You get the feeling though with Leishman, since coming back from COVID-19, like he's just kind of due to kind of get the engines going a little bit. He was probably disappointed there at Muirfield. Usually plays well there. He was 40th at Memorial, missed the cut at the Workday, 58th at the Travelers, missed the cut at the Schwab. But before all the COVID stuff, he really had it going. He was 2nd at API, and of course he won the Farmers. So, you know, he's got some reps under his belt. Now we get to the WGC. I think this is going to be another good venue for him. He was 3rd last year, and he loves these Bermuda greens. Leishman's going to be, I think, a really good value pick here at 7,700. I mean, he's the 18th ranked player in the world, for crying out loud, and he's valued at 7,700. Now, the Aussie going against the Swede, Henrik Stenson. This is the first time that we've seen Henrik Stenson since COVID. You go ball striking, you go approach game, you got to think about Henrik Stenson. Inside the field, last 50 rounds, 2nd, okay? 2nd in strokes gained approach, only person better, Colin Moore, who we talked about earlier in the year. Now you go back to how he's played here in the past. Last year, 2019, he finished 27th. He actually didn't even hit it good. He actually had a good putting week and finished 27th. 2018, he finished 26th. Hit it great and didn't putt good. So maybe this is the year he puts both of them together and goes good ball striking with good putting. I think this is a good venue for him. We haven't seen, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of rust, but there's no pressure. Stenson could come in, ball strike his face off, make a few putts, and make some noise against Leishman, who I think is going to break out and start playing at the level that we saw before COVID-19. This is a good matchup. I'm going to have these guys in my lineup. Something tells me that Stenson's going to come in here and kind of put some things together. I think he likes his venue. I think he hits it well. I think he makes some putts. Give me Stenson over Leishman, although I like both guys. Match number 4, my man Sanjay M versus Paul Casey. I need some ball striking, right? Got to go to Paul Casey. You got to look at a player like Paul Casey at a venue like Tpc South Wind. You know, Paul Casey's won 3 times on the PGA Tour, 14 Euro wins. He's coming in at 7,800. And you look at him last year. No, actually, let's go inside the field first. Inside the field here, just the players that are in the tournament, strokes gained, last 50 rounds. Strokes gained approach, he's 5th, right? So he's up there, okay? He's going to be giving himself some opportunity. Strokes gained off the tee, he's 9th. Strokes gained tee to green, he's 11th in the field. So this is a world-class ball striker against a world-class field, right? He is going to ball strike and have opportunities. The question is, can he make putts? I mean, goodness gracious, if this guy could putt a lick, he would be a world beater in the field. He's almost dead last. He's 72nd in strokes gained putting. Last year, you go to him, you look a little bit deeper here, he was 27th, gained 4.4 off the tee, gained 3.3 approach, but lost 3.4 in putting and finished 27th. He was 31st in 28th. It's a risky play, right? You kind of know what you're getting with Paul Casey. The question is, does he make more putts? Can he get a hot putting week? If he does, if he gets a hot putting week with his ball striking, he is going to be in the top 10. Now, he's going against Sanjay M. Sanjay M had to take a little time off, right? If there's one person that hates COVID-19 the most, it's Sanjay M, because this guy was rolling before things come to a halt. He's coming in at 7,500. This is some great value for a great player. He was the rookie of the year a year ago. You look at him pre-COVID, he goes first at the Honda, and then he gets 3rd at API. And then we come back and we go post-COVID. He's like, all right, 10th at Schwab, misses the cut at RBC, 58 at Travelers, 53rd at the Rocket, 63rd at Workday. Missed the cut at Memorial, timeout. This is a guy that likes to play every single week. Sanjay, timeout. Take a week off. Regroup. Deep breath. That is not his game, what we've seen over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Everybody goes through this on the PGA Tour. Sanjay just went through it. He took a week off, which is uncharacteristic. This is his first time to Tpc South Wind. I think he's going to come in, and we're going to get back to the Sanjay M that we're used to seeing. Fairways, greens, good short game, good putting. The dude has no weaknesses. You look at him in his rookie season, incredible stats across the board. He's a world-class player. I think he's more consistent across the board than Paul Casey, even though Paul Casey's probably a better ball striker. I think Sanjay regroups, and I give him the edge over Paul Casey. All right, let's round out my lineup here. I like my lineup. A lot of guys that we're talking about, and I play multiple cards with most all of these guys. I always post the one that coincides with the show, which I'm going to show you here in a second. But there's a lot of ways to play Draftkings, right? You can play in the big games, you can play in the smaller games, whatever you want to do. There's something there for everybody. They really, truly are the leader in one-day fantasy sports. Open up a new account, use promo code Travis, and you get a free entry into their big game, which this week is 1.75 million total purse, and then 500,000 to the winner. And of course, all kinds of other sports are going on. Baseball starting, so you got my Mariners hat on. We've got basketball starting this week, and then of course, football is right around the corner. So my team, I've got Webb Simpson. I really like Webb this week. Henrik Stenson, I think, first time we've seen him. Ball striker, right? I think he's going to do just fine here. Sanjay M took the week off. He's going to come back, ready to go from last week. Get the engine started back up again, the kind of play that we were used to seeing from him. Patrick Reed, I think this is going to be a good spot for him as well. I had Leishman there, but I took Leishman out. I'm going to go with Gary Woodland. I really like what I'm seeing from Gary Woodland. I mean, he just not only does he look thin and healthy, but when you think about strokes gain approach and strokes gain putting, you've got to go to Gary Woodland. I mean, approach, he's 7th, and putting, he's 19th inside the field. I mean, those are great numbers. His bugaboo is strokes gain around the green, where he's 59th. But again, I kind of moved that down. So the more I look at Woodland, the more I really like him. And that leaves me 7,600. And I'm going with Matt Kuchar, who was 43rd last year in 2019. 43rd in 2019, and then 14th back in 2018. Maybe Cooch can get some things going. He's great in the strokes gained putting category. Can he do enough in the approach game? I like him at 76 to round out my big cards. We got Webb, we got Simpson, we got M, Reed, Woodland, and Kuchar, but I like so many other. I think Paul Casey's an interesting play. Of course, I've talked about Leishman in here. Who knows with DJ and Brooks, right? I mean, I do think Brooks Koepka is, he's kind of laboring a little bit on the knee. I don't think he's kind of letting everybody into what exactly is happening with the knee. DJ, some weird golf, shooting in the 80s. He withdraws from a back injury last week at the 3M Open. Then who knows with Finau? I don't like Finau this week. He kind of rates down low for me. It's hard to be a Tony Finau fan like I am, and I was all over him last week to win. Of course, he finishes 3rd, just couldn't close the deal. Once again, on Sunday, I like Tyrrell Hatton at this play. Tyrrell Hatton, I think, still is one of the most underrated players in the game of golf. I think this is a good venue for Hatton. A lot of people DMing me about Abraham Answer. You like him this week? I'm kind of down on Answer just a little bit this week. Bermuda greens, that's kind of his worst surface. Doesn't putt great there. I think Spieth is interesting. I do think when you look at Spieth and his statistics, his short game and his putting's back. I mean, he's back to be one of the best putters in the world. We know he can score. And I think incrementally the approach game is getting better, although in the field he ranks all the way down at 67th total, 69th in strokes gained, putting 8th. But, I think Spieth is coming back. He's at 8,100. He's kind of an interesting play. If you go into strokes gain approach inside the field, of course, I talked about Morica being 1, Stenson is 2. There's Thomas, Hovland, Casey's number 5, Matsuyama 6, Woodland 7. So those are some guys from a strokes gain approach standpoint inside the field that rate way up there. And then you go to putting, right? And strokes gain putting, number 1, last 50 rounds, Ian Poulter. I mean, this guy's just putting it incredibly well. 43rd in approach. He's an interesting play, right? He's kind of been popping up from time to time, like we saw there at the workday. Patrick Reed is number 2, Webb Simpson number 3. There's my guy, very balanced, 13 in approach, 3rd in strokes gain putting last 50 rounds. And then I think Kevin Na and Billy Horschel, kind of interesting plays as well. Can those two do enough in the ball striking category to move up there? There's De Chambeaux. We haven't even talked about him. Bryson De Chambeaux, strokes gain off the tee. Oh yeah, number 1. Strokes gain approach 33rd, strokes gain putting 6th. So we know De Chambeaux is probably going to, make some noise as well. All these world-class players. That's the beauty of this event. The best players are there. Where do you find the value? I think we have. We've been finding some value, particularly last week. Didn't get everybody 6-6. That was almost nearly impossible. But did okay with some of the value picks there. And then made a little bit of money there on the weekend. So that's that. Thanks for joining me. Again, use promo code Travis, open up a new account. You get a free entry into the big game. The big game this week, 1.75,500,000 to the winner. We'll be back next week. First major. It's the PGA Championship. I can't wait. Thanks for being here.